in the last video tutorial, I had explained to you how to create an architectural DOA schedule. In this video tutorial, I'm going to explain to you how I created these details, which is basically a DOA head, a window head, and a window sill, together with the types of key references that I have shown here. So let's begin. So the first thing that you want to know is what kind of window frame you will be using. In this case, I'm using a 100 mm aluminium. Now you might be wondering that there are other aluminum sections that show that this is to be a blank and not to have this kind of profile. But I can assure you that I have put this here for two reasons. One, this window can be converted into a sliding window at any time. And two, this profile actually looks much neater with all the assemblies fitted on it. So let's start. So for the window bit, what I like to do is draw up my sections first, like so. I have taken these out of a booklet from one of the aluminum suppliers. You can ask your local aluminum suppliers, or you can also download this from the internet. Now the next thing that I'll determine is my the wall height. So I mean the wall width. So my wall width, this should be inclusive of plaster. So my wall width is basically 150 mm in width, as you can see. So remember that in detailing you have to be particular with your work. So basically what I'll do is I'll just draw one rectangle. REC for rectangle. I've shown you in another video how to use the commands. And I'll just enter my distance. This one should be your wall thickness plus 2 times your plaster. So in this case it's 150 mm plus 10 mm on one side, then plus another 10 mm, which equates to 170 mm. And the length of it you can put whatever you want. Doesn't really matter because you're going to trim it off to show it as a detail. Now the other thing that you'll need to determine is whether you wish to put your windows to the center of the sill, as I have done here, or do you wish to make the internal part of the window flush with the wall. For this case I'll leave it at centered. Then I'll click on featured apps, Express tools. Click on this break line symbol. Now the way the break line symbol works is basically you click on one side, you click on the other side, then it will ask you for a midpoint. And it will give you a line break. So you don't have to go around messing around with your polylines. Now if it's too huge, you can basically click on a break line, then click on the size, and then you can say a 15 mm. Then you can go ahead here, click to one side, click on the other side, then click right in the center, then select whatever you are snapping to. In this case, this seems to be much neater. So I'll leave it to that scale. Now basically that can also be put under a callout or some kind of an outline. You don't really need to create an unnecessary layer for that. As long as it's a light line, that's all that matters. And just leave it at outline and change its color over here to magenta, because for my pen styles I have used magenta. Move it over here, type TR for trim, and just trim it off. Trim off all the unnecessary things from there. Now the next thing that you want to do is do an offset of 10 mm. And that is your plaster outline of your plaster. Now the internal part should now equate to 150 mm. And there you go. Now for this case you don't really have to do a very aesthetic detailing. What you can do is just do a shortcut. And in this case I'll just basically put this H in over here. Don't worry, I'll set it up later. I'll set it up shortly. Then just select, go to sand. IR send, click it there and just bring it in over there like so. Now these don't need to have a background in them, so you can basically just remove and say none. Now if your scale is not showing up properly, if your H's are not showing up properly, change the scale over here. So I put this to 0.5 and it does not seem to work. So I'll try to use a larger scale of 10 mm. Now 0.1 and there you go. It shows up at 0.1. This can be slightly larger than that. So you can basically put this as a scale of 5. Yeah, that's about it. Now the next thing that you need to do is to determine which is the outside of the window and which is the inside. So for that you'll need to create a text over here. And you can state outside. If you have typed it in small, don't worry, don't delete. Just select it all, type Control plus Shift plus U simultaneously and it will do a proper scale. Now this is not yet scaled, so I'll try to use a scaled version. So I'll click on one of the leaders and I'll type TR for properties to bring my properties layout over here. And I can say that will be set up to a scale of 1:5. Collapse this window. So I'll select this text and I'll put it to a scale of 1:5. There you go. Now I'll basically move it in here like so. And I will not copy, I'll just mirror this into place. So mirror, then type M2P. And say no. Select these both and put them to their respective layers, or just match properties with another similar layer. Now, if this is the outside, obviously this will be the inside. There you go. Now the next thing that you need to understand is the type of outlines that you'll be showing here. So in this case, draw a construction line, move it out slightly like so, then type PL for polyline. If it's a bit short, you can make it longer. Then just copy all the lines accordingly. Don't worry about it to being too high or too low. You can adjust it. There you go. Basically what you can do is just move this one out slightly above the lowest point. Like so. Select all, TR for trim and trim it all off. Now these can be left as dark. What I'll do is I'll basically just bring these guys out so that they don't look unnecessary. Or if you want to make it look really appealing, just select it here like so. And similarly over here, type TR for trim and trim out this line here. Similarly, you can do it over here. Now, you can see that your window is starting to look consistent. Now the next thing I like to do is I basically draw my windows and then I just copy them everywhere, wherever the need requires. You can the blocks are downloadable and available online, so you can also do that. But for the sake of this video, I'm not going to be wasting valuable time. Take this handle and move it back into place. You can say it can be staying over here and just move them up slightly. Then you can also download, or you can draw your own fly screen layer with 10 clip and the 6mm spline in it. And you can also copy all these bulk blocks over here. Always copy from a base point so that it's easy to plot what you are doing. And you can just paste it over there like so. Now these guys are way too high, so basically what I'll do, I'll just bring them down, or I'll just do a Control Z and I'll recopy them again. My apologies for the error. There you go. Now your window detail seems to be approaching its actual looks. So you can basically just extend and or delete, up to you. What I'll do, I'll just copy this one out, copy this one, and then just bring it down. Well, wherever I find it to be correct in place. And you can move this down as well. Now you are almost done with your detail, and what you can do, you can start labeling these according to this table. So or you can also draw your own table. I've shown you in another video how to do that. So basically number 1 says it's a finish, FIN is finished, 45 mm by 20 mm architrave with enamel paint finish. So we won't be using any architrave in this because it's an aluminum, it does not need to have an architrave. And you can also specify what you are using. Now I've already shown in another video how to create a multi-leader, but for the sake of this exercise I'll repeat it again. You click over here and set it up accordingly. First you'll need to turn on the correct scale that you will be using, which is a scale of 1:5. Then turn on the correct layer that you need to use, which is text. Then select this multi-leader and just add a number of 1. That's it. You can go ahead and start placing these wherever you feel they are appropriate. I guess I can say I'll put one here. Let's move this one up slightly. And I'll copy another one and I'll point it to the screw. As over here. Then I'll copy one over there, one down here. And I will label them as per my table over here or as per the table that you have set up in your exercises. Now I will not be going through everything because it's going to take a lot of time. So I've done all the setups over here and I'll just quickly plot this one out so that you can understand how to set up your details or the window details. So basically the first thing that I like to do is set up my table, which is like so. And the next thing that I do is I draw an X line or a construction line. Then I do a polyline. And I'll estimate my line to tell me what length it is, and I'll say divide it by 3. Div for divide, select, then enter the number of segments, that's 3. And then I'll get my viewport. I'll leave that call out there for now. Then I'll get my viewport by either clicking into this, or I use a faster method, which is a command. Then I say mv for viewport. Remember, viewport has to be in def points layer because viewport lines should not be showing. And paste it over there. Click on this line and click on my layer for def points. Def points is the only layer in Autocad that does not print, and you cannot enable its feature to print. And if you have any other line on def points, it will not print. It will show up, but it will not print. So the reason why I divided my lines was basically to give me a neat and consistent window of drawings. So when I set up all my details, you will see that they'll look really neat and tidy, like so. And the next thing I'll do is I'll double click into the viewport, and I'll zoom into wherever I have drawn my work. And as you can see that this is my detail that I've drawn. So I'll select that and put it to a scale of 1:5. And you can see that that sizes perfectly with my detail sheet. You can go ahead and change these numbers to correspond with these nodes over here. And you can set up your rest of the details. Now the sill detail will be similar, but you'll just have to mirror this to the other way so that they look something like this. If you already have set up your text scale and you click on this, it will bring you to the relevant scale that it's already been set. But sometimes this feature doesn't work, so be careful. Log your viewport, and that's about it. So that was all for this video. In the next video tutorial, I will explain to you how we can draw the bathroom floor plan and the elevations of it, and along together with all these things over here. Now the reason why we draw bathrooms and things separately, so that we can show multiple detailing, and when you send it to a contractor for pricing, they will have a better knowledge of what you are using inside here. So in this case, I can say that that is number 14. So when I go to number 14 over here, that's a selected floor grating. Thank you very much. Goodbye.